Morristown and to the Newark Star Ledger, both more than 48 hours ago. Notice was also posted on the bulletin board at Town Hall and filed with the office of the Town Clerk of the Town of Morristown. I do further state that I shall enter into the minutes of this meeting a statement that such notice was furnished as particularly described by me in this public announcement. I'll take a roll call. Councilwoman Cotton? Here. Councilman Elms?
Present.
Councilwoman Foster?
Here.
Councilman Iannacone?
Here.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Here.
Councilman Silva?
Present.
And Council President Armington.
Here.
Okay.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence, please.
Council President, Vice President, at this time, could we make sure that we keep the mother of Reverend Rogers, Church of God in Christ, passed away February 1st. She was 105 years old. And I'll talk about that when it comes time to the mayor's points.
Thank you, because I wanted to make sure that we had her information. So thank you for that. At this time, I'd like to ask that we all rise and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There are two items on the consent agenda. Unless a member of council would like to pull one for separate consideration, I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Cotton?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Armington?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, before we go into the public hearing, I'd like to just make a public comment. I'm now about to open up the floor for a public hearing on any matter. Please limit your comments and questions to 5 minutes or less. Be advised that any derogatory comments targeting members of council and/or administration may be ruled out of order. At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing. Yes. Ken.
12 Hill Street, Morristown. And I'm concerned about the status of the relocation for the merchants over at the Midtown Shopping Plaza. I've talked to at least one of the tenants who's informed me that he believes only 2 of the smaller tenants have found space in town. So with that in mind, I would like to begin by saying that I recently received an email from the Green Life Market health food store because of the Midtown Market, because of the Midtown Shopping Market redevelopment plan. They must vacate their store by April 1st. Like them and so many of the other tenants, they cannot find suitable location in Morristown. The store manager told me that when he asked the landlord to help finding a new location in town, he was given 2 telephone numbers for real estate brokers. That's all the help he was giving, according to him. Even though the Scotto Properties promised to help tenants relocate as part of their presentation before the council. Quote, as many of our Morristown customers may already know, we are sad to announce that as of March 2020, we will be closing our doors to the Morristown location due to the redevelopment of the Morristown Plaza Shopping Center. Green Life Market, along with all of the other businesses in the building, were informed by our landlord, Scotto Properties, that as of April 1st, 2020, we must have all of our belongings removed from the premises. As lessors of the space, we were aware of the redevelopment plans happening in Morristown. However, we were under the impression that we would have until the end of 2020 to find new space and relocate our businesses in the Morristown area. There have been 2 stories recently, one in the NorthJersey.com website, Midtown Shopping Center shutting down, another Daily Record website, Morristown Business, say they are being forced out of M Station Project. They were both available on the web. My wife and I depend on the merchants in the Midtown Shopping Center. our standard of living will diminish, and more importantly, so will our standard of health. We shop at the Green Life Market every week and sometimes more. An earlier health shop owner preceded the Green Life Market that they bought the store from. He began actually on Blatchley Place. About 1972, just around the corner from where I live, and that was the beginnings of the health food store. So I ask, is there anything that can be done to help these merchants stay in town? I understand that the liquor store is also having a particularly hard time finding a new location. As one article noted, from the two web articles, a 4-month notice doesn't give you enough time to relocate, do construction, find a business, and have a seamless move. Can the developer be asked to find retail space for the displaced tenants at a similar rate per square foot? Is the town doing all it can to help these merchants? The small-town appeal of Morristown is going fast, and most of the residents and small merchants do not want that to change, or do not want a change. What can be done? And most importantly, can the developer help actively providing some real help to find space for these merchants? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Marge?
Margaret Brady, 181 South Street. I just learned I'm now in the 4th ward after being in the 1st ward for
Welcome.
45 years.
Welcome to the
So-
4th Ward.
I'm meeting a lot of different people because I'm in a new neighborhood, and I am amazed at how broad the concern is about what's going on in Morristown and how ill-informed how many people are because they weren't aware that some of these things were actually ready to be voted on. And I'm also a heavy user of that shopping center. I happen to have a lot of allergies, and the only skin cream I can use is emu oil. And there's only one place where I can obtain it, unless I ship it from Minnesota. And I'd rather shop in Morristown, and that's in the market at the shopping center. I also get coffee there. I go out to eat there. There's a nice little nightclub there now. And it's just a great place. And then I found out on South Street, my favorite camera store is being forced out because they're raising the rent so high that they can't, that the longtime tenants there cannot afford to stay. I don't think this is what we really wanted for Morristown. And I think we need to have a little broader perspective of what we are planning to do and how far we are planning to go with the new development. I was just talking to Mr. Hoffman before the meeting about the project on the other side of Spring Street from the M Station proposal. And it's been in the works for many years now, has totally left that side of the street unusable, and it still seems far from complete, and yet you're considering a proposal on the other side of the street that will tear that side of the street up and literally make it almost impossible to get from the bottom of Spring Street up to the top of the hill because of all the construction. I mean, staging has a lot to do with things. Looking a little ahead to the future, please. Approach 2020 with care. and don't rush into things just because a developer feels he can make his biggest profit by moving now. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more comments from the public?
My name's Nico Zavaleta. I live on 30 Crestwood Road.
Say your first name again, please.
Nico, Nicolas, if you want to be really formal. Today I just wanted to talk about the short-term rental ideas and what the policies put in place are and what will actually be the outcomes of it. I think that this will lead to a burden of police resources because of an inability to enforce what's called a guest or isn't. You'll be required to also register guests with license plates, phone numbers, all of these things as well. And so how do you prove that is going to be a concern of mine? So you are allowed to have guests in a house, but you can have one paying tenant for 60 days. I think the enforceability of that is going to be really difficult. And then whenever people you might have a rental unit, and then if you're hosting in a social event, that could be called in and the police will be called. I think that this is going to go down a route where it's very difficult to enforce. I don't understand how this helps with our intern problem. It mentions that 60 days would be the max short-term rentals. Deloitte, which is going to take out a quarter or a half of that M Street project, is going to have to tell all their interns you can't have that 10-week rotation or the 10-week internship here. You'll have to find a different area to stay. And particularly if you're under 21, which is this, I think, is trying to rule against short-term parties, where else can those people stay over the summers? So I don't know where that is going to be handled. I also don't know what this definition of town core on page 14 says about section D, talks about town core zoning. The closest thing I have to that is the town center. And then it would, because this says only in town core zoning district, which I haven't heard of. I'm also, one of my bigger concerns is this $200 non-refundable application fee. And the town shall have sole discretion to accept and reject such license. I would like that to be more transparent because I think it's subject to, there isn't a defined criteria for that. And because of that, there might be abuse. This will be arbitrary, so I don't understand how that'll be done. And then finally, let's say on page 15, section I, there's a term for no greater than, that you can have residents that shouldn't impact no greater than that effect of a private home with guests. I'd like that to be defined. Is that one home? Is that a wife and kids in a picket fence, dogs? There's these definitions about what maintaining the community feeling is. I think that's changed since 1950s or whenever we've thought about what a community feeling is. So I'd like to know, what is an appropriate amount of noise? Are we going to say that dogs barking are loud, and so are we going to have a decibel reading? Or if you have music that's playing outside? I just think that this is not very well enforceable. My final piece would be in the beginning is that there's a discussion that short-term rentals will result in the loss of long-term housing for Morristown residents. And I'd just like to know where that evidence was found, or where this idea that short-term rentals are actually bad for the real estate. I don't know if there's anything been proven for that or the safety. So I'd just like that study to be produced or to show us where that information is. That's enough for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentleman on the right.
Good evening. My name is John Williams, 1 Washington Ave. I represent Morris Tenants Association. So tonight, on behalf of tenants, I'd like to address this new committee I heard that was created, the Pay-to-Play Committee. And the issue I want to raise, or the tenants want to raise, is the role of town planner for the town of Morristown. So if the town planner was an employee of the town, as is the usual custom. And if the town planner, employee of the town, simultaneously did consulting work in the real estate industry, possibly with related parties, this would be, I think we could all agree, an unacceptable situation for the town. So then, how is it acceptable that the town engage a consultant for the position of town planner that may very well be working for and taking payments from people and businesses that do business with the town? How is that then acceptable? So, I mean, things happen when you have this situation. And so I'd like to point out the development deals that have been done in the last few years. The development deals that I understand the town planner consultant brings to the town. So specifically, the deals that the planning consultant brings to Morristown are financial trades that will, in a few years, degrade Morristown's affordability. This financial trade is known as ordinance arbitrage. In the case of Morristown, Wall Street will profit from arbitraging two Morristown ordinances against each other. And the losers of these trades are the residents of Morristown. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but in a few years, we will be big losers. So the Wall Street player profiting from this ordinance arbitrage in Morristown, and I have the name written down here, I'm just not going to say it, just given that. But they're a company who has paid over $8 billion in fines, penalties, and restitution for predatory housing practices in the last 10 years. And just recently, this company agreed to plead guilty to bribery and pay an additional $2 billion in fines. So it's a known predatory investment company, predatory in housing markets. So this is what happens when you have an important town function, in this case, the function of town planner of the town, also working for and taking money from other players in the real estate industry. So I can just leave it at that, leave it with Morris Tenants calls on the pay-to-play committee to outlaw or just restrict important town functions like the town planner from simultaneously working for or taking money from people and entities that do business directly or indirectly with the town. Thanks very much.
All right, if there are no more comments from, I'll start with, since we're on this side, the gentleman in the back.
Hi, Patrick Housel, 172 Franklin Street. Just quickly wanted to speak on the Airbnb, or I shouldn't say Airbnb, sorry, the short-term rental ordinance that you're getting ready to introduce, and just thank the council for, again, hearing the concerns of residential folks that live in, especially single-family homes. I think, we're really thankful that you've decided to not commercialize our neighborhoods, and just wanted to extend our thank you. I think actually the point that the gentleman raised about Deloitte being able to put their interns in 10-week rotations speaks to exactly what we're trying to at least not have to have in the single-family homes. I'm sure they can, find hotel rooms elsewhere in the town. So just thank you for that, and that's all.
Thank you. To my left? Yes.
My name is Richard Ray. I live at 30 Knollwood Road in Morristown. Back in October, my neighbors presented to the council a petition requesting a couple of things: that the empty space at the end of Crestwood Road, which is neglected and overgrown, that it be cleaned up. And secondly, that it be possibly considered to be designated a pocket park. The right to petition the government for redress of grievances is a right that's established firmly in the Bill of Rights, part of the first 10 amendments to the Constitution passed, I think it was 1789. There also is the right to free speech. We brought a petition forward that had 67 signatures on it. We have not received an adequate response since October. There have been, I think, 2 visits by the Department of Public Works, subsequent, I think, to the immediate response, which was, to go back, the Department of Public Works responded very quickly on Thursday. Ms. Deeb, the former councilwoman, showed up to stop them from working. Since then, there have been no concerted effort to accomplish what we requested to be accomplished. The space is heavily overgrown with invasive species. These are the same invasive species that were prohibited and legislated against in the ordinance that you passed in September. The provision in that ordinance was that anyone who allowed invasive species to grow on their private property onto other properties could be subjected to a tax lien for the cost of removal of those species and then possibly resulting in the loss of their own property. It's a serious issue. We would like it addressed. It hasn't been addressed, and that hasn't happened as yet. Secondly, we ask that the space be considered to be designated a pocket park. That would be something that would come from the council. The cleaning up of the space is an administrative issue. That's the administration. The designation as a pocket park would come from the council. We haven't heard any response on that either. It was a comment, I believe, by the mayor that it didn't make sense that it be a pocket park. I'd like to have an answer, Mr. Mayor, why it wouldn't make sense to have a pocket park in a
I'm not going to
neighborhood.
debate you, Richard.
This is my 5 minutes.
Okay, but you're asking me a question, I'm not going to answer.
You're free to answer when I'm
I'll
done.
send you an email.
I sent you an email in the past. You didn't respond to.
All right, Richard, let's stick to
Yes,
your comments,
I'm
please, so
trying
we
to.
can move forward. Thank
Being
you.
interrupted by the mayor.
I understand, but
We'd
you don't
like
have
to
to
know why
entertain
it wouldn't make sense to have that designated as a pocket park, why it wouldn't make sense to have new park space in any neighborhood. The response to our request was that we got a very attractive no dumping sign erected and a couple of bright yellow reflectors. I don't know any neighborhood that welcomes a no dumping sign. If there was dumping in the past, and that's not really the issue that we were addressing, it's because the space is a dump. And when it is no longer a dump, then people will not dump there anymore. We would like to have it made a cleanly kept space and a attractive semi-wild space, possibly replanted with pink and white dogwood trees, which would be very appropriate since it faces onto Dogwood Road. We'd like to have a response. We haven't gotten one. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other members of the public wishing to be heard at this time, I will close the public hearing. Any council responses to public hearing?
I can start off maybe by talking about Ken's comments with reference to the tenants being displaced at Morris Plaza. Yes, it is unfortunate that the tenants did receive notice that they had to be out 90 days. And despite what may have been in their leases in terms of a development clause or a termination clause, when they were here given their presentation, it was very clear from the developer that they would work with the tenants and be conscious of the tenants as they do their move. Now, I do know that the Morristown Partnership has been working with these tenants. And we have to be careful what we say because they're in the midst of lease negotiations. And anything we could possibly do other than help them may put them in a bad position in their lease negotiations. Nevertheless, the landlord has also put them in a bad position by the urgency in their lease negotiations to find other space. But I've been talking with the Morristown Partnership. I've got their assurance that they're working with those tenants. There's some tenants that are large corporations, Panera, 7-Eleven, they have big real estate divisions, and they're looking at alternative sites. Some of the smaller tenants, yes, they could use our help. We should give them our help. I will say that we will be voicing, and I know administration has already voiced their displeasure with the developer as to the short notice. We will reiterate that displeasure Thursday night when M Station is coming before the Redevelopment Commission, which is this council, this coming Thursday at 7 o'clock here in the chambers. But it is disappointing that I think that they have not stepped up as they had said they would during the course of the deliberation on M Station, that they would work collaboratively with these tenants. One or two of the tenants have been in good negotiations with possible spaces. One has found a space, but it will be addressed also on Thursday evening.
Thank you.
And I think the comments on the short stay, we can hold those
Till we
responses
get to
for when
the-
we do your,
The
do you
ordinance.
think so?
Yes. Jillian?
Yes. I'd like to piggyback on Councilman Iannacone's comments regarding the relocation of the current tenants at the M Station or Midtown Shopping Center. The property owner is a private property, which I think everyone needs to understand. The property is owned by Scotto Properties, who has the right to deal with the tenants within the legal framework in ordinary course of business. So I think it's important to understand that all of these tenants had leases that were short-term. They all knew that there was redevelopment coming. And in fact, throughout this public process that we've had, starting the middle of last year, many of those business owners came to the public sessions. They participated, they gave feedback. So, there was no surprise that the redevelopment plan had been underway and that there was development that was coming down the pike. However, the developer did commit to ensuring that they worked with the property owner and the tenants to ensure that they had assistance with relocation. And as recently as this afternoon, Councilman, I met with Peter Realmonte from Scotto Properties, representation from SJP Properties, as well as the Morristown Partnership, to understand exactly where we are. And while certainly there's always more that can be done, I will say that the property owner has been working with these tenants over the last several months, the Morristown Partnership in particular has been working very hard to try to match the tenants with sites that are either local or within the region. The two phone numbers that was referred to in the article is really not a complete picture. They were local and regional brokers who know the Morristown market, who were provided as a resource to the tenants, as were other resources for Scotto Properties. There was one tenant in particular who was looking at a site in town, and Scotto actually offered and covered the cost of an engineer to come and look at a site and provide technical assistance with potential fit-out costs. So to say that there's been no assistance provided to the tenants is incorrect, and I think the article was incomplete in really giving the picture of what's been happening with the site and with the tenants relative to the property owner and the developer. That being said, they were provided with 4 months, which was the time limit that many of the tenants had requested as far as relocation period. I was frustrated because I think that there should have been better communication with the town as far as the timeline and relocation with the tenants, and I stand on that, and I continue to express to the property owner and the developer that they need to communicate better with us so that everybody understands what's going on with the property. I also understand that many of the current tenants are in active negotiations with leases to relocate in town, although not all of them. But the ones who have expressed a desire and a need for assistance have gotten that. And so, I think a lot of the information that's been given in the public has just been incomplete. And we will continue to ensure that the property owner and the developer continue to provide and offer resources to the tenants through this difficult time. Certainly with any transition like this, especially a shopping center that's been open for so long, it's going to be a challenge for everyone, to go through this change. And there's never a good time to relocate your business. It's never easy. But it's something that's change is necessary. And as our town continues to grow and evolve, we'll continue to do our best to ensure that they get the support they need. And I want to thank the Morristown Partnership for their assistance, particularly with working with each one of the tenants to give them a voice and an avenue to request assistance and to communicate with us as well as the developer. Covers everything.
Based on the
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the reminder. With regard to Crestwood Road, we did receive the request, and we've been communicating with the council representatives. It was Councilman Deeb, it's now Councilman Mayer, regarding the status of Crestwood Road. As we shared in prior council meetings, we're working with the Shade Tree Commission and our arborists to come up with a planting strategy to beautify the area and to reduce the overgrowth of invasive species. However, it is inaccurate to say that we haven't been there. In fact, DPW was there as recently as February 7th to clean up the lot and to remove the vines. And so we are doing regular maintenance. They've been there, several times since the fall when this issue was raised. I expect we'll be working with Councilwoman Mayer once we have a planting strategy in mind to organize a community meeting before the planting season in the spring, so we can move forward with that. Thank you.
Just, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to, since you just ended, thank you and the administration and DPW for assisting with the repair of the sidewalk on Spring Street. And just to thank you personally for always taking my call, even on a Saturday, on a Sunday. I happened to be speaking with one of the property owners, not to go backwards, and I picked up from Midtown, the shopping plaza, and I called our business administrator on a Saturday afternoon, and she picked up almost immediately, and he was very impressed, and he was happy to hear that, the efforts are being made, even though, we're very limited in, what we can do. I mean, it would be nice if we all can wave a magic wand to say, hey, we're going to put you here, hey, you can go there. But he was, sincerely thankful that, you are, available, and you were available, on a Saturday to take the call, and so I just wanted to say thank you.
And, Stefan is having the subcommittee with reference to the pay-to-play review, because there is currently a pay-to-play ordinance in place in town already. We will be reviewing that shortly. We have an upcoming meeting. We will check it as to conflicts. But I also have to say, I've been sitting here listening to Phil the last 4 years, and I have to tell you, he's always represented us, I think, us well and openly and honestly. So I don't want anybody leaving here thinking of any suspicious about Phil. He's been dedicated. He's been very open with us. When we meet with him, either in a meeting or out with a meeting, he's been very open and honest with us and very transparent. So, and let me also just say, if we sense a conflict, we sense a conflict, and we will raise the conflict. And we've never sensed at least I haven't, I've ever sensed a conflict with Phil. But we will nevertheless look at it as it relates to the ordinance.
I have a quick question, just to go back to Crestwood real quick. Jillian, if the residents or people in the neighborhood raise the issue of not being happy about the no dumping sign, is there a formal process of requesting that the sign be removed? Like, how would they go about doing that?
So let's start with the residents that live down there that are dumping on that lot. Okay, so let's be real clear what's going on here. So the residents, people that live there, are dumping.
Oh, like leaves and branches
and tree limbs and branches and leaves and grass stuff. So let's really tell what it is. So it's not just this, we want this beautiful pocket park. First of all, it's a steep slope. And it's got trees, good, healthy trees. So those who know what we've done over the last 10 years on building parks in Morristown clearly know that we're very pro-park and open space, because we've committed to, I think, in the last 50 years, no one's occupied as much open space as we have in the town of Morristown. Like I said, we just preserved 11.5 acres over at Foots Pond. So get an idea of what this looks like. It's a steep slope with a lot of trees and a lot of brush and some vines that were just cleaned up. But when we went there initially, what we found was there was a lot of dumping. And I did speak to some residents down there. And some residents were like, I don't know what you're talking about. They're the ones who pointed out to us the dumping. So, let's really, take a good look at really what's going on down there. We're going to clean it up. I'll shoot an email to Richard Ray and let him know why I don't think it's going to be a pocket park. I don't think it's suitable for a pocket park. It's the end of a street that if somebody didn't have a barrier up there and see something, you go right down a steep slope and probably get injured. Parks are usually not much graded. They're usually flat. Some have some grades. It depends what kind of park it is. But this, if you want to go down, I think you should go down, go meet the councilwoman down there and see what it actually looks like. It's not this open space that's like this. It is like this. And I can't tell you the exact angle, but I'll get engineering to quantify. Our engineer here? So we're going to do a study on the slope of that and get that over to Richard Ray of why it doesn't work as a pocket park. Shade Tree is going to look at the trees to make sure all the trees are healthy. What plantings are good if we're going to add more trees to make that more stable, because obviously with the amount of rain that we get, we know the climate's changing, how much rain we get, how much pour down we get, to make sure that that's a healthy place that can soak up the water. But the main thing when you see the dumping sign is because people have been dumping there that live down by there. I'm not going to point fingers because we did walk the property. We know about the dumping. So that's why there's a no dumping sign there. So maybe we can make it a little more artful or do something, but clearly some of the issues is occurring because of some of their own residents dumping there. So what we can do is we can go door to door. I'll go with the councilwoman door to door, and we'll talk to every resident down there about that place and where they see the dumping coming from. Because we were pointed out to where the dumping's coming from. So that's what we're going to do. And I promise you I'll be in the neighborhood and I'll knock on every door of that road and we'll talk to them about what we think is the right thing for that property. And we'll bring the Shade Tree Commissioner down, we'll bring the engineer down, we'll bring the councilwoman down. I think you should all join us. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Can I just add one thing?
Sure.
There was a misstatement made. We have been there. Shade Tree Commissioner Susan Landau and I went down on a Friday morning, the first Friday I was a councilwoman, and we walked around the area. We met one of the neighbors who lived at the end of that street. We were taking suggestions. We were looking at the dumping. We were looking at the trees. I met with Jillian shortly after that to complain about the vines that are pulling the wires down that need to be cut. She assured me that DPW would be out there to cut the dead vines down. We talked about different plants. I was just told by Shade Tree Chair that there was a planting schematic that's suggested that we will discuss at our next meeting, which is next Tuesday night, 7 o'clock at room 201, if anybody wants to discuss it with us.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
there is stuff going on down there. We are
There
paying
is.
attention to that area, so don't think that we're not paying attention to it. That's really what the message is to the residents of where that slope is. That's it.
All right, moving on to report of mayor and town officials.
Also, the business administrator just informed me they asked for the no dumping sign.
Okay.
I'm sorry, there's no comments from the public. The public
Business
hearing is
administrator just
closed.
informed me. Who asked?
The residents through Councilwoman Deeb.
Okay.
Okay, your report, Mayor? On fire.
What?
Your report, Mayor?
Okay. Wednesday, January 29th, which had passed, there was a ribbon cutting for Paramount staff at 159 Speedwell Avenue, which is a very interesting organization on finding people employment. I told them to also reach out to our churches, or the many churches we have. I mentioned you to reach out to you as the liaison for employment. So you might reach out to them. It's 159 Speedwell Avenue. Ribbon cutting also, Council President, you should reach out so they talk to the churches and their youth, because it's not just that. They get really good industrial jobs. They get people industrial jobs. And I was amazed at how many people in one day they signed up for work. They provide transportation. It's an interesting new concept. I've never heard of them before, but they have an office in Somerset, I believe, that has about 500 people a day they employ.
Are they in Dover also?
They're in Dover, yes. They're in Dover also. So you should both reach out and go see what you can do to assist to help our residents that are out of work to get temporary work in the meantime when they're looking for full-time work.
Great.
So that's at 159. Its name is called Paramount Staff. On Saturday, February 8th, there was a Cupid 5 chase. Has anybody heard any negativity on the race on February 8th? No, I think it went off well. Mike, did you run that?
I did not.
I did. No, I'm
Did you?
playing.
On Sunday, February 9th, a Black History Month exhibition was at the Morris Museum. I'd like to thank Sandy Meyer for attending. I could not make it. I had a Dersha event, which was about 15,000 Orthodox Jewish and Hasidic down at the arena in Newark, so I could not attend. We did speak. during that event. And I want to thank you for showing it. It was called The Ties That Bind, How Race Relations Shaped Morris County and New Jersey. So it was well attended. Do you have anything you want to say about it?
The exhibition is still going on for the next few months at the Morris Museum. If anybody wants to see it, it's very interesting. The history of slavery in New Jersey and segregation. Morris Township and Morristown schools were the first segregated schools in the country, something I did not realize.
Yeah.
So it was an eye-opening experience. It was a wonderful, they had a panel of people that were speaking, having a discussion about the state of race relations now and how we're moving forward. So it's interesting.
Thank you for attending.
Sure.
Yesterday, February 10th, there was a ribbon cutting at the Rock Box on 4 Elm Street. Y'all should stop by and check it out. It's a gift shop selling healing crystals, jewelry, books, journals, cards. They have all kinds of cool stuff in there, but it's really cool to see a gift shop open up in town right around the corner. So if you get a chance, stop in, wish them luck. It's another new store opening up in Morristown, and that's at 4 Elm Street called the Rock Box. February 17th, Town Hall will be closed in observance of President's Day. And again, I'd like a special note here to reach out. We all want to think about Reverend Rogers and his family of Church of God in Christ. Lena Rogers passed on February 1st. She was 105 years old. The viewing will be Saturday, February 15th at 9:30 a.m. will be the viewing, and then 10:30 a.m. will be the celebration of life. Both will be at Calvary Baptist Church. Okay, so again, that's 9:30 is the viewing on February 15th, and the celebration of life, both at Calvary Baptist Church. That will start at 10:30 a.m. I also want to thank the business administrator for as much effort she is putting to pay attention to what's going on down at the M Station. She is very much staying informed by the Scottos, by the partnership of what's transpiring down there. There are businesses that are in negotiation for leasing. Some have found new places. Change is a difficult thing, but there was a comment made about the developer. The developer does not own the property. The property is owned by Scottos. It is privately owned, and it will stay privately owned. It is not owned by a developer. Just wanted that out there. That's factual. It's not that developer's coming in, he's kicking everybody out, and he owns the property. That's not the case. Also, on South Street, we are losing 70 South, and it's not as a result of, I think, so much of the rent being too high. I think that 70 South has had 9 lives, like a cat, and it's just a tough industry. It's a big space. It's a very large space, and digital photography is a tough business in that world. I mean, I remember as a kid how cool it was to have a camera, and if you got a Nikon or I remember the first good camera I bought was a camera called Topcon. Now, you can't find that German camera anywhere. It was an amazing camera. I used to go to Turtle Black Zoo and take pictures. It was just amazing, but you don't have that. People take their phones now, and that's what they take their pictures with. It's amazing. And their photography books and all the things get stored on your Google stuff, and everything's now done through smartphones, and the world has changed. And so they've struggled, and Ira's a good friend, and it's going to be tough. They're still open. Their doors are still open. The camera shop, they were there for, oh my God, so many years. And I don't think they wanted to close the shop. They retired, and the son didn't want to take over the business. So they left. And these days, that's not a business that, is tough. We all know we're struggling in the retail world with the Amazons and the eBays. And we all see, we order from Amazon. And Marge, the reason why I talk about this is because Marge brings up an oil. And I do some stuff on Amazon, and I also shop at the health food store because I have a health coach. And it's amazing. You order it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's on your doorstep the next morning. It is amazing, and people are using these services. I don't know about you guys, but 2 years ago, I didn't see Amazon trucks. Now, every time I turn around, I see an Amazon truck going down my street all day long. So, it really has changed the world as far as downtown shopping, and many, many, many downtowns are dealing with this issue on a daily basis on retail. How do you evolve in the new retail? What is the new retail? What is the new way of bringing up your downtowns and energizing them to be successful? There was I think there was a conference somebody was telling me in Michigan just last week on this issue, where how these downtowns and cities are going to survive in the retail world. I don't know how much everybody here pays attention to that kind of stuff, but Macy's announced they were closing, 123 or 125 stores. That's not closing down one store in a state. That's like closing down a whole quarter of the country, 125 or 123 stores. That's a lot of closure for Macy's. So we're ever evolving here in Morristown. We thank God we have a partnership that I think Jen is in the back. She attends all our meetings. They're trying to do everything they can to bring business to town. We have new businesses opening. I think we read it a couple weeks ago. Several new businesses in Morristown. Some are closing. At the same time, several new businesses are opening. And we have David Tyree from the New York Giants opening up a shop on South Street. So it's evolving. But we have to also evolve and be, I think, the type of downtown that attracts businesses that people want to come to and spend money and look for soft retail. So we're trying to generate that also. At the same time, keep people in their homes and keep the town safe and all the things that go along with running a government is what you do. So we'll keep at it. We'll keep working with the partnership. We'll work with each other, and we'll come to a better downtown as we keep evolving. But I want to thank the business administrator because I know how much she is dedicated to staying on top of the M Station, working with the Scottos. You met with the Scottos, the developer entity, the lawyers, the people that work for that group, the partnership. They're all working as hard as they can, but there's only so much as a government you can do. You can't tell people who own private property, hey, you can't do that. You can not support things if you think it's bad for the community, and I would do that with you. But I don't think this is ultimately going to be bad for the community. So on that note, I think I'll shut up. I spoke enough.
Did you read my comment from afar that says soapbox with a smiley face? No.
No. Well, I think it's important. I think the public raises some great questions. I think the council raises questions. I think the business administrator is on top of it. Yes. I know I'm on top of it. And we don't do things in a vacuum. I think Councilman Iannacone hit it right on the button. We're very transparent. So we're not doing things in a vacuum, and I think we do a good job, and we're going to continue to do that job day in and day out.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to council liaison reports. Any liaison
Partnership
reports?
meets tomorrow morning.
Shade Trees meeting next Tuesday. Public is welcome. We're looking for members of the community to join, especially from wards 2 and 3, if anybody wants to join Shade Tree Commission. Just throwing it out there.
We'll get it posted on Facebook, and we'll make sure it's posted on our website, and we'll get it out in social media.
That'd be great. And we're giving away seedlings at the town cleanup. So if people want free trees, you can get them at the town cleanup.
So I had the opportunity to have my first meeting with the Morristown Environmental Commission, and I am so excited to be a liaison to this commission. So they reviewed the draft templates to select the language for the single-use plastic pollution reduction ordinance, and the purpose of this is to ban. The purpose of this ban is to reduce litter, protect the environment, and remove hard-to-recycle bags from our waste stream. So I am looking forward to all of the initiatives and things that they're working on because it's so important, and I'm very concerned about my environment, so our environment.
Thank you. The Parking Authority meets on Tuesday, the 18th, on February 18th at 6 p.m., so I'll have a report after their meeting.
Housing Authority will meet on February 24th.
You know the location for that meeting?
Not yet.
Okay.
Even though Director Bernard says that he will repeat the meeting at the same place that we had it at the first one
At the
because
residence center.
there was not enough information for residents to come out that day.
Okay.
All right, moving on to calendar of events. Are there any calendar of events council members would like to make the public aware of?
Okay.
I do have one.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Someone forwarded this to me. It is being sponsored by the Cornerstone Family Programs at the Morristown Neighborhood House in partnership with Empower the Village, Inc. It's for the love of art, a Black History Month cultural celebration, and it's going to be held Friday, February 28th through Sunday, March 1st. Friday night is opening jazz reception and art preview from 6:30 p.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. Tickets are $20 in advance, $25 at the door. Tickets can be purchased through the Neighborhood House, and I believe they have something on Eventbrite, but I don't see it on the flyer. But if you want any additional information, you can contact the Morristown Neighborhood House, Cheryl Easley, or Linda Murphy. Proceeds will benefit Morristown Neighborhood House programs. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. On the agenda, there are 2 council appointments. Number 2, nomination and council vote on appointment to the Housing Authority is being pulled from the agenda this evening for further consideration. So at this time, I would open the floor to the council for nomination on appointment to the, I always call it SHMUCMA.
Southeast Morris.
The Water Authority, what is it?
Southeast Morris Municipal. something
Water
like that.
Authority. Oh, I'm terribly embarrassed. I apologize. The appointment is to a 5-year term ending February 1st, 2025. Do you have any nominations?
I think he said he's going to nominate Max Huber,
Yeah.
Okay.
and I'll second her, one of us will second.
Okay, are there any other nominations? Okay, on the appointment of Mr. Huber to the Water Authority, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer,
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Mr. Huber is hereby appointed. Under regular business, there are two ordinances for introduction this evening. Ordinance number O-10-2020, an ordinance rescinding ordinance O-29-2015 and deleting a designated handicap parking space on Madison Street from Section 7-40.2 of the Code of the Town of Morristown.
I'll move it.
Second?
Okay, Councilwoman Foster made a motion to introduce.
Yes.
Thank you. On the introduction of ordinance 10-2020, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer,
Yes.
Councilman Silva, and
Yes.
Council President Foster.
Yes. Vice President.
I mean,
Sorry.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance O-10-2020 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing on February 28th. Ordinance O-11-2020, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 30 Land Development Ordinance to enact a new section regulating and establishing certain requirements for short-term rentals in the town of Morristown.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer,
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
And Council President Armington.
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 11-2020 has been introduced properly by title, and it is tentatively scheduled for public hearing and adoption on March 10th after a planning board consistency review to be held on February 27th. There are 7 ordinances on the agenda for public hearing and adoption this evening. Ordinance O-3-2020, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the town of Morristown, Chapter 2, Administration, Section 20, Bureau of Police Protection.
I'll move it.
I'll second. At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing for ordinance number O-3-2020. Any members of the public wishing to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions or comments from council members? Seeing none, call the question, please.
On the adoption of O-3-2020, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 3-2020 is adopted. Ordinance number O-4-2020, an ordinance of the town of Morristown and the county of Morris, state of New Jersey, establishing compensation for certain officers and employees of the town of Morristown.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-4-2020.
I'll second.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing on this ordinance. Any members of the public wishing to be heard? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions or comments from council members? Seeing none, call the question, please.
On the adoption of ordinance 4-2020, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 4-2020 is adopted. Ordinance O-5-2020, an ordinance of the town of Morristown and the county of Morris, state of New Jersey, amending ordinance O-24-2019, establishing compensation for management/non-union positions in the town of Morristown, New Jersey, and amending all ordinances concerning such compensation heretofore adopted.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-5-2020.
I'll second it.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing on this ordinance. Any members of the public wishing to be heard? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions or comments from council members? Seeing none, call the question,
On the
please.
adoption of ordinance 5-2020, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer,
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 5-2020 is adopted. Ordinance number O-6-2020, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the town of Morristown, Chapter 7, Traffic.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-6-2020.
I'll second.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing on ordinance number O-6-2020. Any members of the public wishing to be heard? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. Any questions or comments from council members? Seeing none, call the question,
On
please.
the adoption of ordinance 6-2020, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer,
Yes.
Councilman Silva, and
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 6-2020 is adopted. Ordinance number O-7-2020, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the town of Morristown, Chapter 7, Traffic.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-7-2020.
Second?
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing on this ordinance. Any members of the public wishing to be heard? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from council members? Seeing none, call the question, please.
On the adoption of ordinance 7-2020, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 7-2020 is adopted. Ordinance O-8-2020, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a construction easement agreement between the town of Morristown and Sunstone Hotels Morristown LLC.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-8-2020.
I'll second it.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing on this ordinance. Any members of the public wishing to be heard? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions or comments from council members?
Is
Seeing
this for
none?
a certain length of time?
Yes.
Till the construction is complete?
Actually, there was a time period in the easement, it's a right reach.
Sunset Hotel.
It's a limited, time limited.
Is there a limited time on this easement?
Yes, there is. Give me 1 second. They only needed to dig pits to see how far they have to go down. But that is ongoing. I believe it's
The term is through January 1st, 2021.
Okay, thank you.
But we could also terminate it sooner, once they're done with the work.
Thank you. If there are no other questions or comments from council members, call the question, please.
On the adoption of ordinance 8-2020, Councilwoman Cotton?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Armington?
Yes.
Ordinance 8-2020 is adopted. Ordinance number O-9-2020, excuse me, ordinance providing for certain capital improvements at the Morristown Municipal Airport by the town of Morristown and the county of Morris, state of New Jersey, and appropriating $1,941,466 therefore to finance part of the cost thereof.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-9-2020.
I'll second.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing on ordinance number O-9-2020. Any members of the public wishing to be heard? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions or comments from council members? Seeing none, call the question, please.
On the adoption of ordinance 9-2020, Councilwoman Cotton?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Yes.
Councilman Silva? And
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 9-2020 is adopted. There is one resolution on the agenda this evening, resolution number R-49-2020, resolution authorizing application for grant funding from the Federal Aviation Administration and New Jersey Department of Transportation and execution of grant agreements in connection with rehabilitation of runway 5-23 and construction Phase 6 of associated safety areas at the Morristown Municipal Airports.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number R-49-2020.
I'll second it.
Okay. Councilwoman Cotton?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Resolution 49-2020 is adopted.
All right, at this time, we have 3 items on the agenda for unfinished business. I believe these are all yours, Council President, so I'll let you take it away.
No change at this point, so I'll hope to address the next meeting.
All right. Thank you. At this time, we have no new business, so I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Opposed?
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for attending tonight. Have a good evening.